Hi everyone, and welcome to the final reading lesson of this week. We're back to picture predictions again, so this is the development of inference and deduction skills through the use of imagery. Again, remember, as I've said before, there are lots of pictures in our text and they give clues as to what's going on in the story. So, learning objective remains the same as it was this time last week. To make inferences and predictions based on the evidence provided. Success criteria: I can explain what a prediction is. I can make inferences based on evidence. I can make reasonable predictions supporting my ideas with evidence from the text. So, first of all, I want you to have a look at this picture and I want you to think about what you can see. Now, look carefully. Pause down, please, and jot down your ideas. Right, guys, so for me, I'm seeing some sort of city, but it appears to be underwater because it's surrounded by fish. And there's obviously the sunlight is shining through the top of the water from above. Where this city is, what this city is, I'm not entirely sure at this moment. So the next thing to consider is, well, what can you hear? So pause now and think about the sort of things that you might hear if you were looking or in this picture. Right, guys, I get the feeling that I would hear the sort of swooshing around of water within there. Maybe some sort of thud kind of noises if rocks and other things fall down, because sound does sound very, very different when you're underwater than when you're in the air. So if you've ever been in a swimming pool and tried to listen to somebody talking whilst your head's underwater, it sounds very different to how they sound when they're in the air. So think about what other things you might hear. Right, the next question to consider really is, where do you think this place is? Now, you might already have some idea where this place is, depending on if you've seen something like this before, if you've heard of it before, maybe in a book or within a film. Okay, pause now and think about where this place might be. Okay, now for me, looking at this picture, the first thing that springs to mind for me personally is the lost city of Atlantis, because it's underwater. You don't tend to find that many cities underwater. And looking at some of the buildings, they're very Greek sort of style in their design. So that would be my thoughts on this. You might have a different opinion on it. So what do you think might have happened to it and why? Pause now and think about that question. Right, so I'm looking at this. It's either always been built underwater, so that's where they built it in the first place, or something really quite drastic has happened, either a massive flood or some sort of earthquake that's toppled it over into the ground, but something quite serious has happened for an entire city to end up under the sea. See what you come up with. The next question is, who might have lived here? Is it still inhabited? If so, by whom? So inhabited means, is it still lived in? Okay, pause now and think about those questions. Right, so the first one is, who might have lived here is past tense. So who might have lived here in the past, maybe when the city was on land before it went underwater. If it's still inhabited, then you're going to have a really big think about, well, how are they going to survive underwater? So whom would these people be? The next question is, what might be found here? Pause now and think about the sort of things that you might find within this city. Right, guys, well, that just depends on how rich the city was. So there might be a lot of treasures there. There might be some strange sea creature that's guarding it. I honestly don't know. I'm more interested, to be honest, in what your thoughts are on this. So your main task today, again, as it was last week, complete the observe, infer, wonder, and predict sheet. Write it in the boxes. Each section has some notes to help you consider what you might write about. The boxes should be completed in reference to the picture in the middle of the sheet. Remember to look very carefully. There's a large number of clues linked to things that you will have some knowledge of. Send your completed sheet via Seesaw or Class Dojo. Got any questions, contact your class teacher on Seesaw or Class Dojo. Good luck, guys. Speak to you next week. Bye-bye.